This may be one of the most important most important lessons I've learned in all my, and I've done, I bet, thousands of videos. Today, we're going to talk about financial filters. And I'm going to give all the credit and glory to my man, Ben. He started, I got introduced to Ben a couple years ago as a coach, who then turned into a mentor, who's now become a good friend. And I'll tell you this, without giving too much away, because it's his business to tell, not mine. I'm just going to tell you, if I could be Ben, both financially, as a professional, as well as just as a human and a person, that is the guy I want to be. So while you can say, well, I don't know this character and are these good filters, and let me just take it from me. I know if you don't know me, just trust this, because these are really sound principles for how to do investing. And the reason why he calls them filters, Ben, part of the coaching mentoring process was having filters in your life. And what was funny is we did this whole, year worth of coaching stuff. And he mentioned something. I asked him about an investment and he goes, well, does it meet your filters? I kind of thought for a second. I go, what do you mean? He's like, buddy, you don't have financial filters or investing filters. I was like, no. I mean, if it's a good deal, right? He's like, oh my goodness. So we scheduled a phone call. I think technically his had 12 steps. I've condensed. So this is 90% Ben. So if I've missed a small part and Ben's watching this, I apologize. But this is still the majority of what is his. I did turn it to make it, my own. And it's not that I've changed the principles. I'm not. I've just combined one or two things because to me, it makes more sense and I understand it better, but it maintains the same structure, the integrity of everything that he was taught. So let's go through this real quick. So first and foremost, before we get into the actual lessons, Ben made the point. He goes, you have to understand how money works. Don't overcomplicate it, which I'm very good at doing. That is certainly for sure. And the other part, and he said this, and I've never forgot, is like, people like to see the baby. They don't necessarily like to see the labor pains, all the work and stuff that goes on with it, but they just like the end result. Like, I want to be rich or I want to grow wealth or whatever it is, but they don't like the work that goes with it. So I understand there is work. You can't just, invest in something, close your eyes and look up. Now the S&P 500, for 401ks, things like that, dollar cost averaging. Yeah, close your eyes in that instance, right? Invest every month, put in your dollar amount, do that for decades to come, and you'll end up having a really nice nest egg. Investment filters for this is more just how do you invest in things like real estate. So Ben taught me that there are 4 ways to get rich or to grow wealth. Own a business, you can finance somebody's business, you can own real estate, or you can invest in somebody else's real estate, right? So I personally have done, Caroline and I bought at our peak, we had 16 long-term rentals. I started in 2004 or five, and we ended up selling them at the right time during COVID. So we had rental properties for 15 plus years, almost 20 years for that matter. And so I was in there. I was doing the labor pains, and Caroline later took over, and she did the labor pains to make a wonderful opportunity for us. So that when we sold these homes, they worked. Now, unbeknownst to me, doing that made the filters work, or at least we met most of the criteria on the filters. So let's go through those now as far as what they are. And this is now, just in the recent time I've known these, or what I'm starting to apply when I have, when somebody asks for money or when I'm looking to invest, I apply these things to make sure that they're still what we need and want. So number one is you got to enjoy whatever you're doing. So for example, real estate. I like real estate. I'm in it. I know it. I like it. I stay current with it. Some folks might say, okay, like I actually did buy, and it was a small investment with a couple buddies, but I bought two AI computers, like the actual computers. And then we sent it to a company, but I like AI. I know the industry, I follow it, I'm trying to stay current with it. So, okay, check on number one, right? So I enjoy artificial intelligence. I'm reading about it. I do that as a hobby. I enjoyed it. I invest in real estate. I like those things as well. Number two, and this is the most important. This is like, shoot, cash flow. It needs to cash flow. So cash is king. When you don't have any money, I don't care if you got all this money tied up in an investment, that's not a good thing. So it needs to cash flow. So a good example, I now currently at this moment have money invested in things like a real estate development and multifamily development, like they're building the multifamily, some land entitlement. So it meets the number one. Like these things are real estate. What it doesn't meet is this cash flow. And when interest rates, mortgage interest rates, which is my day job, hit 8% and business slows down, while it's nice I got money in those projects, there's nothing coming in the door. So when you buy, an investment property, like I had those 16, that's wonderful. Cash comes in the door. When you own part of an RV park, cash comes in the door. Multifamily, when it's leased, cash can come in the door. So man, cash is king. It can save your butt if you ever needed it. It helps provide liquidity, not just to pay the bills, but maybe to invest in future things that may have an option to. Number 3 is control. And this one's more of a gray area for me. It's hard to know that because there's a fine line, in my opinion, between control and influence. So for example, if I put my money with somebody and I know, like, and trust them, and I'm really close and I have a seat at the table, right? If I can help make decisions and navigate what we do and why we do it and how we do it, then I have control. But if I give my money to the guy that I know, like, and trust, and I don't have a seat at the table, but he does, that's influence. You can argue that's still control. So this one, it's kind of hard to know exactly where that fine line starts and stops. But if you can influence whether they pump the brakes or hit the gas or do whatever they do, or you can grab the wheel a little bit and kind of steer it to some degree, or at least tell your buddy to do it. I think that's the part that you need to at least have some control, as opposed to just blindly giving your money, hoping something works. That one's new for me because I'm invested in some oil and gas stuff. I have zero control. I hope it works. So far, it's been great, but the reality is you don't know. Number 4, I thought was really, really interesting. And I agree with this completely. It's kind of like number 2 with the cash flow. Number 4 is there have got to be 3 sources or strings of income. So in this case, like with real estate, you get cash flow, you get appreciation, and you get depreciation from a tax purpose. So when I go back to the computers, like the GPUs we bought, cash flow, because we're renting them out, people are using them, money's coming in, that's great. Well, you're definitely not going to appreciate those things. They will not go up in value. They go down in value from the moment I buy it. And the next time NVIDIA releases a new chip, these probably things become even less valuable. So that's, 1 for 2, but I do get to depreciate them. So I at least got 2 out of 3, but not all 3, versus residential real estate, investment properties. You get cash flow and people pay rent. You get appreciation over time, at least you hope you do. And then you get to depreciate the hard asset on your tax returns. So it's a good way to get a bunch of different ways of a lift from an income standpoint. And it's ultimately, that's the kind of stuff where that long-term buy-in will ultimately make you wealthy. Number 5, coincidentally, has the number 5 in it. It's 5-year return of your principal. This is tough. So some of these things, like my computers, and I bring that back just to show you how these things didn't meet my filters. I didn't have the filters at the time. It's hard to get my computers. We think it'll be about a 2.5 to 3 year period where we get the money back. Time will tell. We shall see. When you put down payment on a home, you could argue you're not most likely going to get your entire down payment back in 5 years. However, you can argue that between the appreciation and the depreciation on your tax returns plus the cash flow, you may be able to get your money back within that 5 years. So you want your principal returned within that 5 years, as opposed to just waiting forever to get that back. Number 6, the no headache money. No headache money means, the way I see it is, you don't want headaches because you're buying, I'll make the joke, you don't want to buy a strip club that's next to a daycare in Houston, Texas, right? Where there's no zoning laws. Like, I just don't need somebody picketing on my front porch saying, how dare you? And I had never invested in a strip club, not because it's bad investment, it's just not my thing, right? So the headache money is more like, can you sleep at night? Do you feel good about yourself? And these are my criteria, right? But the headache money to me means I can look somebody in the eye and be proud of what I'm doing. I can understand it. I know it. I feel good about it. Just don't be a headache, right? Whether it's ethically or morally, but be proud of it and have some honor to it. Number 7, lifestyle first, right? So think of this too. If you're going to invest in, and this is where the single family stuff in the beginning years, especially in the beginning years for me, was tough because it did impact the lifestyle. Because when that toilet was leaky or something happened, like, I'd be the guy fixing it. But after about 1 or 2 properties, I was like, screw this. You get a property management company to do it, or you get somebody else to do it, or you get better at setting boundaries for what they can and can't do, or you get a home warranty, things of that nature. But it can't impede on your lifestyle to make it to where you're going to change everything you do. Because again, if you're going to impede on your lifestyle, like, why do it? Like, life is too short to have this worst case scenario that's going to implode, and all of a sudden you got to just spend the rest of your days and waking hours doing something you may not want to be doing. So assess the risk, the return, all that stuff, and how much does it really impact your lifestyle? So lifestyle first. Number 8, the immediate amplifier. There has to be a reason that when you buy this, you're going to get some immediate pickup. You're going to get some immediate benefit in value or money in your pocket. So for example, if you buy a beat down, piece of property and I can put in $50,000 worth of rehab to the kitchen remodel and things like that, I might be able to get $70,000 or $80,000 of equity suddenly built in the property. So there's got to be an immediate amplifier, something you can do that's going to do this. So going back to those computers, nothing I can do. They are what they are, unless maybe I knew some like company over here where I could plug them into and charge, a big long-term contract, maybe in that instance, but that was not the case for me. So it's got to have an immediate amplifier. What can you do? What makes you so much better? Why is this asset the right asset to make that much money? Number 9 is, and this is where I did combine 2 of them. So, but it's to cut fat and control spending. So to me, those are somewhat in the same category, but to be very clear, Ben had them broken out. But cut fat and most likely existing fat. That kind of goes with the one right before this, number 8, which is the immediate amplifier. If I can go in there and cut fat, and meaning like, especially if it's like a business, like a multifamily or something like that, and you can somehow trim the expenses and just control what goes out the door, you don't necessarily need to make more money. You just spend less. And that's where you can do it. So whether it's cut the existing fat or just cut fat along the way and control the expenses and make sure you're really, really, really just paying attention to the numbers. I certainly did not early in my career. I got lucky that things worked out good for me. But as I get older, wiser, more mature, the more you pay attention to something, the more it's going to grow. And that includes your money. So pay more attention to that. And then as far as the controlled spending, absolutely get a third party to maybe review what you're doing, whether it's your CPA or financial planner, or somebody else to say, is it really necessary to spend those costs? I have somebody like that in my office, and man, I'm glad I have her. Number 10 and last, get good leverage. So if you buy a mortgage, make sure you're working with the right mortgage company. By the way, Mortgage Mark team is awesome. But make sure you're getting really good financing, good terms, non-recourse. You don't want to lose your butt in your personal home or everything you've worked for in your life if something goes wrong with this one business venture. So just make sure you got the right lender, the right partners, the right team in place so that you get really good leverage to make sure that you're taken care of and you're not putting yourself out there and exposing it to unnecessary risk. So maybe someday that is my top 10. Someday I'll be able to start getting these where I can find investments that match all these. I'm now paying attention. And I think, the last 2 I've done have met these filters. It is hard to find. You're going to probably find yourself saying no to more opportunities than you once thought. It is hard for me to do that because I get excited. I want to be part of everything, but it's a really good way to just help you understand what's needed to build wealth, to live a happy, wonderful, fulfilling life and achieve your sole purpose. So if you do have any questions, I'll be happy to answer the best I can. Maybe the great and wonderful Ben can someday come on and give his 2 cents and let us know what I screwed up here. But ultimately, those are some wonderful investment filters to use. As always, thanks for watching. We'd love it if you share, subscribe, and do all that other stuff. We appreciate you and have a great day.